Well, you all just heard me introduced as Hyman, but today I must also be frank. For not only is this a decisive time of great achievement and transition in each of your lives, it is also a time when those who are still fighting the Civil War have again come into power and are aggressively engaged in reversing what the fearless freedom and justice fighters fought for as they attempt to send us back to the days of post Reconstruction, indigenous genocide, selective exclusion, targeted oppression, and downright evil. But rather than go off about this, I will strongly and fiercely advise that you stay focused and alert to the cold hearted threats to your progress, and that you make strategic and practical use of the power and vision your education has provided. And this includes not being hoodwinked and bamboozled by unsocial media, by sinister applications of AI, or by other forms of technology that all too often waste your time, your money, and your mind. Now, before moving to what I really came to talk about, let's give a shout out to those who made it possible for you graduates to be here today. Your parents and step-parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your brothers and sisters, your teachers and professors, your mentors and advisors, your sorors and frat brothers, your roommates, teammates, and classmates. And let's never forget our Creator and your generational ancestors whose genes you share and who struggled big time in the face of horrific abuse and unspeakable violence. Now, before coming to UCSB, you all went to various schools, but the entire universe is one enormous school. And if you pay attention and remain alert to what's going on around you, you will realize that you are being educated all the time, and that each and every experience is intended to prepare you and keep preparing you to meet whatever challenges arise so that you can achieve a peaceful, productive, and progressive life that will benefit you and also serve as an inspiring and tangible example to those who come into your spaces. And yet, to fulfill these more crucial goals of life, your own self-reflection and self-inquiry must be a vital and consistent part of your ongoing lifelong education, for they help bring out the importance of engaging logic, reason, and common sense. They help integrate and harmonize your knowledge and experiences, and they can greatly assist you in overcoming fear, anxiety, and self-doubt by increasing the awareness of who you most essentially are. Yes, self-reflection and self-inquiry can suss out the vital value of what you have learned and provide guidance for how you can best do life. These inner self-directed efforts are like eating a banana. You can't just look at a banana or talk about bananas and expect to get the benefits. To get the potassium and other nutrition, you have to pick it up and peel it. You have to bite into it, chew it up, and swallow it. And then you have to wait until it gets digested and fully integrated into your system. And yet, when you engage in such self-reflection and self-inquiry, you must ask yourself, who is this self? When you say myself or I, who are you referring to? Now, to answer this question, great graduates, here's a story about a colleague from Thailand who I first met at an international education conference in southern India and later worked with for several years. Ardong Jumsai is a former foreign minister with a doctorate degree in physics and another in education. He was also a chief research scientist at NASA and played a key role in designing the automatic landing device for the Viking space project. During a talk in London, he brought his scientific awareness into play and asked his audience to look at the person seated to their right and describe what they saw. After giving them a few minutes to do this, he reminded them that they had used the medium of visible light. Next, he asked them to look at the person again, but to move over on the electromagnetic spectrum and use the medium of X-rays. Doing this, they discovered they could only see the person's skeletal structure and only decipher the so-called gender of the person based on the shape and density of their pelvic bone. He then asked them to move in the other direction and use the medium of radio waves. Doing this, they knew they would be unable to see the person at all, since radio waves pass through solid objects and do not provide a visible reflection. Dr. Jumsai told his audience that all they had done to get their vastly different results was to change the medium or lens through which they looked. He then asked, "So what then is the true nature of a human being? Do you not see that we are far greater than we merely appear to be? We have bodies and we have minds, yet both are tools or instruments of our basic being. And when we use those possessive terms, my body and my mind, who is the possessor? Who is this self we are referring to?" Well, all along, we've all been told that human beings are comprised of body, mind, and spirit. And truth be told, it is this third aspect of our being that truly is our true self. And it is this self that holds unlimited and undreamed of possibilities that you graduates are only beginning to realize and experience. So now let's break it down just a little bit more. When you were a baby, you used to pee and potty on yourself. You couldn't crawl or stand up. You had zero perspective, zero vocabulary, and zero teeth. But look at you now. Look how explosively you have grown. Look how many skills and talents and teeth you have acquired in just a little over 2 decades. This clearly demonstrates the presence of that latent capacity and power of potential that is deeply vested in your essential, expansive nature. This is what Brother Jumsai was trying to teach his audience. And this is the overriding purpose of self-reflection and self-inquiry, not merely to know what my body and mind have done, but to realize and experience what my true self, my soul, my spirit, my awareness, my consciousness can do through more strategic and more effective use of my body and my mind. Like a tree, when your roots are deep enough, you have no reason to fear the wind. Graduates, You now have university degrees. And some of you will continue on to get 1, 2, or even 3 more. Others will say, and you will say yourselves, that you have been educated. And yet, true education can never be achieved by merely reading a box of books, by writing a bunch of papers, solving equations, or applying formulas. So let's take a deeper dive into what education truly is. For my mother-in-law was as educated as anyone I know, and she only went to 4th grade. Well, when we think about education deeply enough, we will discover that we will have to get down to the innermost meaning of life itself. Is the goal of education knowledge? Definitely yes. But knowledge of what? Is its goal power? Yes. But power for what use? Is its goal social advancement? Again, yes. But what kind of social advancement should it be? And guided by what vision, what principles, and what values? That education aims not at mere knowledge or power or social advancement of any kind, but knowledge, power, and advancement put to positive and progressive social uses must be the way we think about education. And rather than being seen as something which only comes from the outside, education must be seen as that which unfolds and blossoms from within, an innate treasure trove that was bequeathed to all of us by our Creator. So get hip, graduates. Real education must expand and transform both your head and your heart. You know, none of us really graduate from an institution or from a place whose time and season have passed. We graduate to a new set of conditions, to newer and greater prospects, and to spaces where we must carefully and reflectively apply what we have learned. Albert Einstein once said something I really liked. The world we have made as a result of the level of thinking we have done thus far creates problems that we cannot solve at the same level as the level we created them at. This suggests that we think and act at ever higher, ever more creative, and ever more determined levels. That we stay strong and steady, keep on growing, and keep on fighting until our goals are reached and the game is won. For the real curriculum of all worthwhile education is none other than life itself. Don't believe me? Just watch. Now, let me quickly lay out one more important matter. Whenever you study the social sciences in earnest and reflect on what you have learned, you will realize that it is human values that sit at the very heart of every culture and provide the basic vision and direction. It is the values of a culture that get expressed, infused, and applied across the norms, the customs, and activities, the art, the music, and the social expectations of that culture. So, as part of your self-reflection and self-inquiry, be sure to ask yourself, what do I truly value? What principles do I stand on and stand for? And do I have the ganas, the clarity, the determination, and the courage to adhere to them when I get baited to the contrary? or when the pressure is on. This is what Ralph Waldo Emerson meant when he said, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us." And so, just what is it that lies within us? What lies within us are those unseen strengths and attributes of conscience and character that help us recognize who we truly are. What lies within us are the seeds of peace, love, compassion, and personal integrity. What lies within us is the power of our own consent to rise above the hype and deceptions of this world and achieve a happy, self-determined, and triumphant life. Now, this way of thinking and being can be challenging, and it can also bring trouble. I can show you the bumps and bruises from my own lifelong efforts to fight the okie dokie and advance real DEI. But when all is said and done, the rewards of following your conscience and of standing up for what you know is right and just will bring you truckloads of self-satisfaction and no regrets. For every action, there is always a reaction. What goes around always comes around in one way or another, sooner or later. Nothing we think, say, or do, not one thing, is without its effect. And so we must adopt this attitude of hope and dedication, of undeterred effort, persistence, and resilience, and put it into practice. Keep on stepping. Keep on repositioning yourself so that whenever, wherever, and whatever opportunity arises, no matter how big or small, you can say, "I've got this," with full and uncompromising confidence. And when the gatekeepers come your way, you can keep them at bay and brush them away. I'll now wrap up with a verse by William Ernest Henley that I memorized when I was an undergraduate, and which some of you know or have heard before. "Out of the night that covers me, as black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." Well, finally, and on a really down-home practical note, I hope you get a good job. I hope AI doesn't take it away from you. And I hope you make a lot of money and that you use it right. Thank you, and God bless you all.